We're all familiar with the image of the barrister or solicitor, but it'd be a mistake to think that this is all you can do with a law degree. It can be difficult to access accurate data about law graduates, but the best information that we have shows that only a minority of law students end up in these traditional legal careers. And we do know that the profession is not expanding and in many areas is shrinking, and the number of graduates keep growing. But this is not necessarily bad news. We know that law graduates have high rates of employment and above average income expectations. What we don't know is where they're all going. There have been some attempts to find out, and these are interesting paths you might want to think about. So here are 5 options that the law will equip you for, but law may not be mentioned in the job ad. And you may also find that there are additional skills and aptitudes you need beyond that which a law degree will give you. First of all, regulation and compliance. We live in a society of increasingly complex rule systems, and this needs people who are specialists to make and implement those rules. Governments need people to administer rule systems and to design systems of regulation, and organisations need people who can create systems that respond to those government regulations and ensure that those organisations are compliant. So this is a career outcome for people who are good at working with rules. You'll need skills with analysis, systems thinking, and the ability to understand how to affect change, including cultural change, as you roll out new systems. The next career destination is policy analyst. Again, laws are increasingly complex, and we don't just need people who can roll them out and implement them, but we also need people who can understand how they work and can work at improving them. So some of this work takes place in government. The Office of Parliamentary Counsel, in legislative drafting, in advice to government ministers, but there's equally just as much work in the private sector as an advocate for organisations who understand the impact of new policies or potential policies and lobby the government to try and implement a different path, or at least a path that benefits them. This can also involve jobs in media analysis and ability to forecast legal change and what effects this will have. And these often involve complex interactions of different sorts of knowledge, so economic and legal knowledge. What's going to be the economic impact of a set of changes? What's going to be the social impact? So the kind of skills you need in this field are obviously analysis skills, but there's also an important element of persuasive skills and communication skills in being able to get your point across and getting others to see what your point is in terms of the impact that these changes are going to have. Another area that is a non-traditional area that employs a lot of lawyers is risk assessment or risk management. And this includes an understanding of complex risk factors from multiple sources. So these can include legal and regulation and litigation as part of the risks, but obviously financial risk is a big part of this as well. So these jobs need people who can forecast likely outcomes, who can run different scenarios and understand what risks are and look at ways of minimising or offsetting those risks. And crucially, this is not just a career that's about avoiding risk, but it's also about taking risk and understanding which path to go and which way to best optimise risks, because your business or organisation doesn't go anywhere without taking a few risks. And what you need is someone who has a full and rational understanding of what those risks actually means and which are the ones that are worth taking. So the skills in the risk management field are fairly diverse, but of course include your basic understanding of the law, but also forecasting and the ability to gather and compare data from different sources to be able to create different scenarios and understand how those scenarios work. The fourth area I would point to is the area of management and entrepreneurship. There are a lot more law graduates on the market now, and people are increasingly looking to law graduates for the kinds of jobs that may have once gone to business graduates. Particularly when you look at corporate graduate intakes, where once they looked for accountants and business graduates, they're now increasingly looking at lawyers as well, and generally lawyers will be taken over people with business degrees because of the prestige factor. This, and in other areas, of course, you need to be able to demonstrate skills beyond the basic law skills. And realistically, even in a law job, you need to be able to do more than an IRAC and do a case analysis to be able to make yourself valuable as an employee. And here you need to have a wide range of other skills as well. And it's worth considering that the field of management and entrepreneurship is not just about working in individual organisations or existing organisations, but also includes starting your own business, being an entrepreneur, and understanding the kinds of legal frameworks that your new business is going to work within. And of course, if you have those legal skills, you have less need to pay for legal advice in launching your new business. So the sort of skills you need are all the skills involved with entrepreneurship, working with people, skills of innovation in developing ideas, implementing plans, including a plan B where that becomes necessary. So the fifth and final career path that I'm going to mention is one you probably haven't thought of, and that's comedians. But there's a rather large number of people who are comedians who started out in law. There's something about the mindset or the perspective on the world or the ability to play with logic and words that seems to have a bit of a connection between lawyers and comedians. I have just a random list of people here. Sean McAuliffe, Jane Turner, Rich Fulcher, members of the Chaser team, Charlie Pickering, Ann Doe, Rebel Wilson, Bob Mortimer, and of course John Cleese. And I'm sure there are many more out there, but there's a strong connection between comedy and law, apparently. Core skills, I guess, are making people laugh, which is something you probably don't get to do very much during your law degree itself. But again, I think this demonstrates how there are a broad range of careers that are available, and that you're doing yourself a bit of a disservice if you just focus on those traditional ones. Now, if your heart is set on joining the legal profession, that's good, and good luck to you. But be aware the competition is very fierce, and you do have other options. Many graduates find the strict conditions and long hours of legal practice very onerous and go for careers that allow them more flexibility and give them different career destinations. The important thing at this point, at the start of your legal studies, is to keep your options open and to keep your mind open.